Well, Luke and Marianne, it's very nice to see you both. I trust you're both keeping well this close to Christmas.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Still good.
Good,
Doing very well, thank you.
good. Well, it's certainly nice to see you both. And look, since the last time I spoke to you, you both started work on something called Impact. Um, can you explain that and tell me what your role is?
Yeah, that's fine, Rodney. Impact is basically consolidating all KPMG's propositions in the area of climate change, ESG, and sustainability. And these propositions, as I may have mentioned the last time to you, already existed within KPMG for many years, but in summer 2020, these have been consolidated into Impact, the proposition that we call Impact. And this is about ESG and sustainability, economic and social development, sustainable finance, climate change and decarbonization, and the measurement, assurance, and reporting around these topics. And my role within Impact is basically to lead the global tax work stream on all impact related strategic propositions. So the 5 ones I just mentioned. And you will understand that within each of these propositions, tax could be really relevant. And we can talk about that in a moment as well. But Marianne, maybe you want to add to this as well?
Yes. So I had the pleasure to be invited to join the Global Advisory Council of Impact. So the Global Advisory Council is a group of partners from different countries and from different service lines to provide some insights to the impact initiative. So some of the top boardroom issues today are covered by Impact. So I'm very excited to be able to contribute with the perspective from Latin America and Brazil with respect to shareholder, capitalism, new customer and employee behavior, purposes and values, inclusion and diversity, and sustainability, for example, as Luke mentioned.
So it's certainly really interesting, both, because I think, Marianne, just to your point, this is a real boardroom issue. It's really being looked at the highest of levels. But what does it mean for tax professionals listening to us today?
Yeah, maybe I can say a few words on this, Rodney. And this is indeed what we have been looking into over the last couple of months. And as I mentioned, these propositions already existed, so we had to inventorize what has been done in this context, and we consolidated that into the impact tax proposition. One important aspect in this context is that tax is generally, let's say, accepted as a means to steer behavior and reach economic and social goals. So tax is important in the area of climate change and sustainability, that's for sure. And definitely also in view of the current crisis that we have to face. All of this will touch on companies' supply chain and on their objective to use tax incentives to achieve certain climate change objectives. And for private investors to invest in sustainability, which sometimes is a more riskier part of, let's say, the investments they make. Well, basically the whole value chain and tax element is important as well. So we identified basically a couple of items that are relevant for tax. That's basically the tax incentives to achieve economic goals. It is about financing the transition to what we call this zero carbon economy. It is about, let's say, supporting clients on climate tax risk services. It is about tax policy and transparency. And we try to embed all of that into our responsible tax agenda. So that's in a nutshell, but it's quite a bit what we do in tax, Rodney.
Well, certainly.
Marianne, anything to add from your side?
Yes, I'd like to add the perspective from, developing countries, Latin America and Brazil. I think sustainability is a very big issue. And here in Brazil, you don't see any business newspaper or business magazine without a heavy coverage on ESG matters, for example, every day. So this is very hot in the agenda. And this may be because of the pressure from the investors. This could be the pressure from consumers and employees. But at the end of the day, I think all companies are putting ESG and all the impact-related matters on the top of their strategy because they believe that this is important for business. So it's not only a matter of being nice. I think these matters used to be in the backstage of business, and now they move to the center stage because it's crucial for the sustainability and the economic success of a business nowadays to be really involved in all these matters.
Yeah, sure.
So that's a really interesting perspective out of South and Central America, Latin America, Marianne, which sort of makes me wonder about Europe. So maybe Luke, I'll come back to you. This whole topic of ESG, will it have further focus now because of the global crisis, and what's going on, perhaps to borrow a term, about a Green New Deal in Europe?
Yeah, definitely a relevant topic, Rodney. As I mentioned, tax will steer behavior of people, and that's exactly what also the EU has initiated. I mentioned that governments and multilaterals have connected the agenda of ESG, sustainability, climate change, and decarbonization with the funding of significant sums of money to face the crisis. You will see this in the recently approved EU rescue package. The EU Green Deal, for that matter, already existed before the COVID crisis, but it has now been connected to the agenda of ESG and sustainability. And at this point, some elements of the Green Deal involve the European Union looking into a couple of very concrete initiatives. And for each of these, the European Commission has asked society to address consultations. KPMG responded to these consultations in the last couple of months. And just to name maybe the more important ones, the first one is on the Energy Tax Directive, which existed already for almost 20 years and required an update because of all these initiatives. The second one is about a carbon border adjustment mechanism that they want to introduce. And CBAM, as it is called, is in fact a tax at the EU border, avoiding companies to import products with a higher carbon footprint. And a third one is also a consultation on the emission trading system, also a system that already existed in Europe for quite some time. And this will be updated and probably include some other industries than the ones currently affected by it. And maybe as a final topic worth mentioning and just illustrating what the EU is initiating, they also introduced a plastics tax, a waste tax as from the 1st of January 21. Which will be seen as a revenue for the European Commission, but requires the member states to introduce this regulation in each country. So definitely interesting subjects.
So both of you, this is a huge topic then. I mean, Marianne, you were talking about how it's impacting people in the boardroom, the reputational perspective in Latin America. Luke, you're talking about tax, these potentially really, really business impactful plans that Europe is considering. No wonder you both are going to be super busy with this. Look, it was really nice catching up with both of you. I really look forward to seeing both of you in person again when we can all travel. And yeah, thanks for your time and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.